Well, Natasha, you could tell Coach Robinson was very proud of his little sister.
But did you know that if you have a cell phone, you too can participate in the debate live?
Even though a simple bag check could have found the hunting knife allegedly used by the suspect.
But as far as natural disasters go, this is one of the most dramatic I've ever reported on. Take a look at this video. Any standing water whatsoever, this is where mosquitoes can lay eggs, even in a half-inch deep of water. Good evening, I'm Denae D'Arcy. David has the night off. First at 11, it's still a nightmare along Interstate 5 tonight with motorists stuck in traffic for hours while firefighters fight flames along the highway. The first fire began near Coburg with others all along the way north to Jefferson. That's between Albany and Salem. The fires have spread across nearly 50 miles of interstate and are now 50% contained. KVAL's Alyssa Harrington was on scene today covering the blaze and witnessed heavy smoke and stranded drivers. And back to the traffic messes. We've had viewers calling in all day about the backup. How bad was it out there? Well, here's a look at the hay truck Alyssa mentioned again. Here it is when it was on fire and crews were not able to quite get to it. But here's a look again. This is the charred out remains photographed by a motorist a few hours later. Oregon Department of Transportation officials ask you to use a route other than Interstate 5 tonight and in the morning. Well, the weather sure hasn't helped the fire situation. It's been dry and hot, but crews say the wind is finally dying down out there. Meteorologist Tim Chewy's in the Weather Center with the latest fire forecast, and Tim, it was windy. Well, tonight another snowstorm is blasting parts of Oregon, and the morning commute could be another icy one. Good evening, I'm Denae D'Arcy.
And I'm David Walker. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have team coverage tonight as a new winter storm moves in.
KVAL's Alyssa Harrington is reporting on how to keep your animals safe in these frigid temperatures.
But first, let's get to KVAL meteorologist Tim Chewy. Tim, what's happening with that storm right now?
And we'll check back with Tim in just a bit, but now to our school closures and delays for tomorrow.
Just a few for tomorrow so far.
Well, what was supposed to be a fun and carefree family sledding outing turned deadly in Amity, that's near Salem. 60-year-old Kenneth John Meyer was sledding with his wife and son on their country lane when Kenneth's sled struck an oncoming pickup. The driver of the truck was from McMinnville and was just unable to brake in time. Neighbors are upset by the news. At the time of the accident, neighbors say it had just started to warm up after snowing heavily and the roads were very slick. Now to another winter danger, cold temperatures and family pets.
If left out in below freezing temperatures, domesticated dogs and cats might have a hard time surviving. KVAL's Alyssa Harrington is live in South Eugene.
The cold weather also contributed to a car accident of a strange sort.
Authorities say an elderly man crashed his car into a house.
The Eugene Police Bomb Squad responded to Sweet Home High School today for a suspicious device. Officers used a robot to determine the device was a hoax. Several students were interviewed as part of the investigation. School was dismissed earlier in the day before the incident because of the weather.
You know, keeping a chipper mood here going into their trip to El Paso.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
And up next, using garlic salt to keep away the snow. There's a new smell in the air in central Iowa. The town of Ankeny has a distinct aroma of garlic because garlic salt was mixed in with the supply of road salt.
Well, tell the latest weather forecasts. Everything will be right there for you at kval.com.
And here's one last look at closures and delays that we have in so far for Thursday.
Have a good night.
Well, the Uniform Trial Court rules adopted by the Oregon Supreme Court say cameras are allowed in Lane County courts. But in Lane County, the rules are interpreted to say judges can grant permission for cameras, but journalists have to ask for it, and for some reason they haven't in quite some time. I went to find out why. Across the state of Oregon, media has public coverage access to the court system. Cameras are routinely allowed in courts in Lynn, Douglas, Coos, and Benton counties, to name a few. But in Lane County, our photographers are not supposed to cross a yellow line about 15 feet from the courtroom. KVAL isn't the only media that finds it difficult to access court with a camera. I talked with the managing editor for the Oregonian, Therese Bottomley.
Everybody, frankly, on the media side, as far as I can tell, is a bit mystified as to why Lane County has not joined in with the rest of the counties in routinely allowing cameras in the court.
I invited presiding judge Marianne Bearden to interview with us. When she didn't respond, I emailed a letter asking her to explain the situation. Her response to that is coming up.
I'm calling for Elizabeth Rambo.
I also contacted acting court administrator Elizabeth Rambo and asked if she could think of a time when cameras were allowed in the courts. She could not. The Oregon Uniform Trial Court Rule, or UTCR 3.180, states public access coverage shall be allowed in any courtroom. Rambo eventually said the courts would allow for camera coverage if the judge would approve the request on a particular case. The rules say a judge may deny a request for public access coverage only if the judge finds fact on the record for the denial. Here's Lane County District Attorney-elect Alex Gardner.
There are some people who believe that cameras in the courtroom are distracting, either distracting for the witnesses or distracting for the jurors. I haven't found that to be the case at all. In my experience, they tend to forget about the camera.
I also asked him in his years of work in the Lane County Circuit Courts if he ever remembers a case including cameras.
In Lane County, not in my memory. I'm not aware of it having been done here. If it has been done in the last 20 years, I don't know about it.
Judge Bearden responded to my letter and said cameras are allowed, but that she rarely receives timely requests. So KVAL is going to do our part and make sure the request is timely. The Oregonian says it gives 1 to 2 days notice to other county judges, but I plan to ask permission as early as possible, and we'll see what happens. Now, the rules state cameras are not allowed in cases involving juveniles, abuse, and sexual offense. I'm Denae D'Arcy, KVAL News.